The termination letter was already printed. She just needed him to see it before she said a word. That's how it started, not with a warning, not with a conversation, but with a folded piece of paper crossing a marble lobby in downtown Seattle, carried by a CEO who had never once asked this man his name. He took it without flinching. Then he said the sentence that stopped the entire building cold. Before you celebrate, you might want to check the deed on this place. The lobby of Cascade Tower gleamed that morning, glass and steel catching the early light 30 floors above the street. Employees streamed in with coffee cups and headphones, none of them noticing the quiet man by the north elevator bank in a faded gray jumpsuit, a scuffed toolbox at his feet. His name was Marcus Doyle. Most people in the building didn't know that. To them he was just the maintenance guy. The one who fixed the flickering lights on 14, unstuck the jammed doors on 22, and always said good morning like he meant it. What none of them knew was that every evening at 5:45, Marcus left work early enough to cross the city and pick up his daughter, Ivy, age 9, from the after-school program before it closed and charged him a late fee he couldn't afford. His wife had died 4 years earlier, a long illness, the kind that empties a bank account one hospital bill at a time. Marcus had sold the car, the boat, almost everything they'd built together, just to keep the house Ivy had grown up in. He never talked about it. Every morning he made her breakfast, fumbled through her hair in a braid that was never quite even, and told her the same thing before she left for school: be kind, it costs nothing and it's worth everything. Then he put on the same gray jumpsuit and went to work, invisible to almost everyone above the third floor. The new CEO, Renata Cole, had taken over Cascade Holdings 8 months earlier after her mother stepped down. She was smart, sharp-edged, and convinced that sentiment was a liability in leadership. Her first 2 quarters were built on one word: cuts. Budgets, headcounts, non-essential roles, nothing was safe, and everyone in the building had learned to dread the subject line, org update. That morning, walking the floor with 3 directors trailing behind her, she spotted Marcus sitting on an overturned bucket, catching his breath after hauling a water heater up 2 flights because the freight elevator was down for service. She didn't ask why. She didn't ask his name. She saw a man sitting down on company time and decided that was enough. "We don't pay people to rest," she said, loud enough for the lobby to hear. "Get him a termination letter. Now." No one spoke up. Not the directors. Not the receptionist who'd known Marcus for 6 years. Fear is quiet like that. Marcus stood, took the letter when it came, and folded it once before slipping it into his pocket, the same calm way he folded everything, like a man who'd survived worse mornings than this one. Then came the sentence. "Before you celebrate, you might want to check the deed on this place." Renata laughed, the kind of laugh people use when they're not sure why they're uncomfortable. But behind her, the company's general counsel had already pulled up the property records on his phone. His face went white. Cascade Tower wasn't owned by Cascade Holdings. It never had been. The building belonged to Doyle Family Properties, and the sole name on the title was Marcus Doyle. Years before, Marcus and his wife had built a small construction firm from nothing, then quietly reinvested every dollar they made into commercial real estate instead of the lifestyle it could have bought them. Cascade Tower was one of theirs. After she died, Marcus stepped back from all of it, handed the portfolio to a management firm, and took a maintenance job in his own building under a name nobody thought to double-check. He didn't do it to prove a point. He did it because he needed something ordinary to hold on to, and because he wanted to know, honestly, how people were treated when nobody thought a boss was watching. Renata stood in the lobby she'd just humiliated a man in, holding a truth that rearranged everything she thought she understood about her own company. Marcus didn't gloat. He didn't ask for an apology. He picked up his toolbox, wished the room a peaceful afternoon, and left to go get Ivy from school, the same as any other day. That was the part that stayed with people longest. Not the reveal. The exit. The story moved through Cascade Tower before the sun went down. People who'd stood in that lobby and said nothing kept replaying it. Every small kindness Marcus had shown them over the years suddenly visible in a new light. Renata didn't sleep that night. The next afternoon, she asked to meet him. He came in the same jumpsuit, not a suit, and when she braced for anger, she found none waiting for her. Marcus told her, simply, that the building had never mattered to him, but the way she treated someone she assumed had nothing to offer her, that mattered a great deal. He'd taken the job to find out whether people were judged by their character or by their uniform. Now she knew his answer. The next morning, Renata called the entire staff into that same lobby. She apologized. Not for firing the owner of the building, she was careful to say, but for the kind of leader she'd been before she knew who he was. She admitted she'd have owed Marcus that apology even if he'd owned nothing at all. Marcus asked for one thing in return, not a title, not a payout, but a family support fund, flexible hours, emergency leave, child care assistance for anyone in the building raising a kid alone or caring for someone sick. Renata signed off on it that week. Ivy started stopping by the office some afternoons after school. She noticed the hallways felt different, people actually looked at each other now. One day she asked her dad why he still fixed light fixtures when he owned the whole tower. He thought about it, then told her the truth, the work never made him small. It reminded him who he was. Every fixed light, every small kindness, still mattered, deed or no deed.